All right, welcome back to another video in the complete web development series that we're doing here. My job in this whole series is to try to take you from beginner to job ready. And the way that we're going about this is we're building a series of projects after we learn the basics to tie it all together and show you how you use these building blocks that we learn to create your own projects. And in this chapter, we're working on a login registration system using the technologies that we've learned up until this point. So if you're new here, welcome. You at least probably want to go back to the beginning of this chapter if you haven't done anything else. Otherwise, you're just going to be completely lost. And if you're a complete beginner, go ahead and go back to chapter 0 and start there. But I'm so happy to have you guys here. Please comment, like, subscribe. If you don't like the videos, I guess you can give me a thumbs down. It does hurt my feelings, just so you know. Not too bad, but honestly, it's weird when you're a creator. You can get 1,000 likes, 1,000 really nice comments, and it only takes the one guy to give you the thumbs down or leave a nasty comment, and you think, man, what? I get it. Like, I'm not for everyone, and I said that in the beginning of the series, but you just feel so rejected, you know? It's kind of like the girlfriend when she dumps you. You can have 1,000 great days with her, and it's all forgotten when she leaves you. You feel so rejected and hurt. It's not quite that bad. It's worse to lose someone. So, but I do get my little feelings hurt, I guess. I'm just joking. You can, if you are gonna give me a thumbs down, could you at least give me some constructive criticism on things that I can do better that maybe you would have liked the video more before? So I'm not just wondering why you hate me, okay? But anyways, I'll probably just open up the Pandora's box and you guys will, just for fun, give me a thumbs down in this video. But it really does help me, if you do like it, to go ahead and like it. That way these videos will be suggested to more people and more people will find them and subscribe to my channel, which isn't the ultimate goal. I don't really care about having a big following, but I do want to help as many people as I possibly can. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and get going on this video. In the last video, what we did was created our forgot password screen, and we sent an email with a 6-digit code in it. And in this video, we want to create a form for them to enter that 6-digit code and make sure that the 6-digit code is correct. So let's go ahead now and make sure that, oops, sorry about that, guys. I had the wrong window focused. But let's go ahead now and set up, make sure our server is up and running. All right, so my servers are up and running now, and we're gonna go ahead and need our Mailhog up and running so that we can send email. So I'm gonna go ahead and start that up as well. So for me, that's tilde/go/ben/mailhog. And as I hit enter on there, that will start up my mail server and create a port. It's going to run on port 1025, but on port 8025, we can see our mail inbox. So if I go now and let's go ahead and look at that. So if I go to localhost :8025, that will get me to the port 8025, and now you can see it, Mailhog is running right there. So back on our site here, I'm going to go ahead and go, well, this is phpMyAdmin, so let me pull that up. We do have this old row here, and I think I'm going to leave that on purpose. And let's go now to back to our login screen here. And I'm going to go back to reset password, and now it asked me to put in my email address to reset the password. So this is kind of where we want to start today. Let's go ahead and let's put in, just so we have a kind of recent thing here. It takes me to this reset verify, which is okay. And in Mailhog, I will have a new email with my new code in it. Okay, so now we can start building. Now we got 10 minutes before this expires, and that's okay if it expires. We'll just keep working through this. But let's go ahead now and build out the page that we need to, because right now we have a 404. So we need to build out this reset verify page first. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go back to my Explorer here. and we'll add a new file, and we'll call it resetverify.php. And once we open that, go ahead and open some PHP tags, skip down a few lines and close them, and then we're going to skip down a few more lines, and we're going to go ahead and include our foot.php. And it is already getting hot in here. My office does not stay cool for very long after I shut off my AC, so if I start sweating or having a hard time breathing, I might cut the video short and we'll continue in another video after it cools down. But I'm going to include my head here. Okay, so here we go. We have our head, and then we'll go ahead and create our errors variable with our array and our post variable. So this is all starting to look familiar, or it should be looking familiar to you. The next thing that we want to do is go ahead and put an if statement here to prepare for if there is a posted material to this site. If not, it won't hit this. So when you first load the page, it won't go into this if statement. But the first thing that we'll do in here is go ahead and, just so we don't forget the security, we're going to go ahead and clean the post by setting it equal to our post variable here. And what we'll do is run our clean post function that we created in an earlier video, and we'll just pass in $_post to that. That way we have a clean, sanitized version, and we're ready to go with that. Okay, I think what we'll do is go ahead and set up the form before we do our logic here. So outside of the PHP tags, let's go ahead and do our HTML. In our H2 at the top of the page, we're just going to go ahead and tell them to please enter your 6-digit code. Okay, and then underneath that, we'll go ahead and display any sort of errors with our display errors method, and we'll pass our errors array into that, so that later we can do some validation and we can plug an error into here and it will display those errors right here. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is we're going to go ahead and create our form here. So I'm going to scroll down, go ahead and create our form. The action, we're just going to go ahead and set it back to send the post right back to the same spot, so we can put reset verify there, and our method will be post. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead and, you know what, I'm going to close this Explorer too, just give us a little more space here. We'll create a div with our form-group class, and inside that div we're going to give it a label, and we're going to call that input code, and in the label we're just going to put 6-digit verification code. I think we need to tell them too, maybe up here underneath this H2, let's create a paragraph tag, and we're going to tell them that a 6-digit code has been sent to your email address, just so that they know that they should have received an email with this code in it. The next thing that we're going to do is add our input here, and for this we'll just do a type of text. We could omit that type because that is the default, but I'm just putting it there so that we have it. So we're going to give it a name and an ID of code, and then we'll give it a placeholder, and we'll just say I don't know, verify, something like that. After our form group, we don't need any more inputs here, so we're just going to go ahead and create our div with our button wrapper class that we created, and we're going to add 2 buttons here. We're going to go ahead and add an a tag that we're going to send them back to the login.php, and we'll give that a class equal to button secondary, and we'll just give it a cancel there so that they have a cancel button. And it'll just send them back to the login form if they cancel. The next thing that we'll do is create an input. This input will have a class equal to button and button primary. And it's going to have a type equal to submit. This will be a submit button, so that will submit the form. And then we're going to give it a value equal to verify. Okay, after that, let's go ahead and down here at the bottom, we're going to go ahead and give them a few links that might be helpful. So in a paragraph tag, we're going to say resend. We're going to say, maybe we'll say didn't receive, or we'll just say resend code question mark, and then we'll do an anchor tag with an href, and we'll send them back to the forgot password.php file, and we're gonna give that some text of try again. The next thing we'll do, we'll give them one more, so we'll do another paragraph tag, and right inside of there we're going to go ahead and do an a tag, and we'll send them to the login.php file. Go ahead and close that tag, and we'll just give that some text of log in. Now if I go back here and I refresh, okay, we do have some problems here, but we've got the start of this. We have our resend code and try again. We have our login, and then we have our form here that tells us to enter our 6-digit thing. We do have a warning for an undefined variable of errors, so let's go and see what we did wrong there. And that's because I don't have an S on my up here. I just typed error, so that's a very easy fix. So you do have to spell it the same. So I'm going to refresh now. And here we go. It says a 6-digit code has been sent to your email address. And then we have a form field for 6-digit verification code, and they can verify there. All right, so what happens, let's go ahead and start doing the logic for once they post. We need to check, is it the correct 6-digit? Is it expired? Because we told them it was only going to last for 10 minutes. So they have to do it fairly quick. So let's go ahead now and do that logic. So up here in the top of the page, we set up this post here, and let's go ahead and do let's set up a few variables, and then we'll do our validation underneath that. So up here, let's set up a few more variables. The first one is, let's just create a variable called code, and we're going to get this from our post, and that will be posted as code because that's what we called the name of our input. If they post this back, we're going to get that out of there with that key right there, code. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is we need to determine the cutoff time. Basically we need to know when is this going to be, how do I, trying to think. Let's just do a few other things. First, let's get the user ID here. And the reason I was kind of like looking over at my other screen and figuring out what's going on is because I've previously written this out, and I don't really necessarily think that my logic is correct on my example, but I need to look at that a little bit more. So what we're going to do is our user ID. Remember in our forgot password, we set a session variable up in our sessions array, and where is that? Right here, this password reset user ID. So we can grab this, and that will be the user ID that we're trying to reset. So let's go ahead and put that in there like that. And so it's checking for this, and then if that doesn't exist, we're going to go ahead and set that to 0, not as O, as 0. All right. The other thing I want to do, I think, is let's just create a variable called now, and we're going to set that equal to date, and we're going to put that in MySql date time. So we're going to do a capital Y -M-D. This is the format that today would be stored in, and then we'll do H, and that's capital H, :I::S. Okay, that is the format that the database saves date timestamps. Okay, so that is a MySql date timestamp. So this format you'll end up using quite often. Okay, so let's do a little bit of validation. First of all, let's make sure that they've entered something in there. So we can check if the code, and we'll just say if empty, that's a built-in PHP function. So if empty code, then what we want to do is add to our errors array here, and we're just going to say, please enter your 6-digit code. Okay. Then what we want to do is, if that passes, we're going to say if empty errors, then we can continue on with our logic. And we're actually going to look, because remember in our database, we added a row to this password resets. And what we're going to want to do is find the row here in our database. So let's go ahead and look through that. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up an SQL. SQL is equal to, and then we're going to do a select statement here. We'll say select star from, now we're looking for our password underscore resets table that we have in our database. And we're going to try to find it where verify is equal to question mark and created at is less than question mark, and user ID is equal to question mark. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to find a row in our password resets where the verify is going to equal this code, the user ID will equal the user ID here, and that the created at time is going to be less than our cutoff time. Now this cutoff time we have to figure out still, because when this gets created in the database, it's only going to last for 10 minutes. So we have to figure out a way to know if this is too old or not. Okay, so what we can do is we need to know right now if this right now time, so that we have this now time when they submit the form, if this is 10 minutes later than this created at date, then we know that this should be expired. It's already expired. So let's see, if create at is less than this plus 10 minutes. What do I want to do here? You know what? We're going to have to do this, I think, in a separate way. My logic is wrong on my reference. So we're going to have to, let's just find the password resets where verify is equal to that code and the user ID is equal to this. And then what we're going to also do is let's just limit this to 1. And we're going to order by ID descending. So this is going to get the newest version of this row. Okay, just to make sure we're getting the newest one. And so that, in case there's a duplicate row, it's highly unlikely that there would be a duplicate row, but since we are using random codes, it is a possibility that there could be a duplicate there, especially if they're trying multiple times. So then we need to set up our binds here, and our binds is going to be an array, and this time that we have 2 question marks, so we have to have 2 elements in this array. So the first element in this array is going to be our code, okay, and the second one is going to be our user ID, and that has to go in the same order as our statement here. So we have our code and our user ID. So then this will be a prepared statement, and we'll bind these values to these question marks. And that will prevent SQL injection. So we'll say the result is going to be query, and then we're going to query the SQL and then add our binds as the second parameter. And then what we're going to do is we'll just call this a reset, is equal to MySqli fetch associative array, and we'll pass in the result there. All right, so now this reset will know if this reset, if they have a row with the user ID and the thing. But the last thing that we need to do is we need to determine if this is expired. Okay, so what we can do is we know what time they submitted this, and we know if there's a reset. If you look in the database, the reset has a created at time. So we need to determine, is this created at time longer than 10 minutes ago from the time that this is created? So what we can do is we can do something like expired, we'll do expire time, I guess. And the expire time is going to be equal to the date. And then what we're going to do is in that date, we're going to say ymd h:I:s. And then for a second parameter, we're going to use a string to time function. And we're going to put our reset time in here. So we'll do reset and then created at. Okay, I know this is a little confusing, but what this is doing is taking the created at time in our database, and it's putting into this function that PHP gives us called string to time, and it's going to make sure that the correct time gets passed into this date thing. Then what we can actually do is in the string to time, we can concatenate on a string, and we'll do a space, and we'll say plus 10 minutes. Okay, so that is the expired time is going to be the created at time plus 10 minutes. Okay, so let's actually do a dump and die here, and let's just look at that expire time and make sure that this is going to work. Let's go back here now, and I'm going to look in mailhog, and it looks like we have a code of 202571. So if I put in 202571 here and hit verify, okay, so we have an error here. MySql statement object is not fully initialized. So let's see if I have an error here. Select star from password resets for verify and user ID equals limit 1. We might have to put this limit 1 after this order by. Let me try that. There we go. So I just had an error. We need to put the limit 1 after the order by here. Man, my phone is blown up. All right, so now we have our string here, and this should be, this time, if we look in the database, this should be 10 minutes later. So let's look. 1653 is the time on this. And the time that we have is 1703. So that is 10 minutes later. That is correct. So now all we need to do is we need to check to see if this time, this expired time, if that is greater than right now, then we can't, then this is expired. So let's just do that. Let's just put expired is equal to, and then I think what we'll do is we'll do a string to time, and string to time creates like a time in seconds. So we're going to pass in if now, so we have this now date right here. So if string to time for now is greater than string to time of expire time, then it's going to be expired. If now is less than or equal to the expired time, then that is going to be the a boolean is called true or false. All right, the next thing that we're going to do here is if it is expired, so we're going to say if expired then we want to add to our errors array, and we'll just tell them that your code has expired. Please try again. Okay. Else we want to, and we're almost done actually. Else, if it's not expired and it has a reset, so we need to do one more thing here. Let's see. We're going to say if not reset. So if it didn't find a row in the database, so if not reset, then we're going to say errors. And we're going to add to the errors, the code you entered is incorrect or has expired. We'll just kind of keep it a little bit vague like that. So if there's not a reset, then we can't really check this stuff. So what we need to do, we'll probably just put it in a if statement here, and we'll say if reset. So we could do an else here. I don't really like that, but that's okay. We'll do an else. And we need to move this stuff, actually all of this, we're gonna move all of that into this else statement. Okay, and we'll get rid of this dump and die down here and this empty space. So it's getting a little bit too nested here. I don't really like that too much, but basically we're checking if there's empty errors, and then if there isn't a reset, we're going to do this, and then if there is a reset, then we're going to check to see if it's expired. If it's expired, we're going to throw an error message. If not, then the last thing we need to do is we're going to set another session variable. So in our PHP session, we're going to add another variable called password reset code verified. That's kind of long, but we'll call it that. And we'll just set the code equal to that. Then what we're going to do is redirect them to the reset password page. And what that's going to be is actually a form where they put in a new password. So that this page's only purpose is to tell them to look in their email address and get their 6-digit verification code. Then we're going to look in the database and make sure that their 6-digit verification code is correct and that it's not expired. And if it's not expired, we're going to go ahead and set their code to the session variable, and then we're going to redirect them to the reset password file, which we haven't created yet. We'll do that in the next video. And what that will do, then in our session, we're going to have their code and we're going to have their user ID, and then we know who the user is, what password they're trying to change, and that they verified it with the code. Okay, so we're going to do all of that in the next video, and then the next video will be the last one of resetting the email validation. So the first thing we did, we created a forgot password form, and you know what we need to do? We need to test this actually. So let's go back here and refresh this. All right, so now it's been longer than 10 minutes, so my code has expired. So let's go ahead and try again. So I'm going to click try again. I'm going to put in my email address and hit recover password. This tells me to look at my email, so let's go to our email and we'll go back to our inbox. I have a new email here, and my new code is 350193. So I can copy that if I want, or just remember it. We'll paste that in here and click verify. Now we don't have any errors, and it does work because it sent us to the reset password. Now this is a page that has not been created yet, so it's a 404. We're going to solve that in the next video, but this will be the form where they actually enter their new password, and we'll save that to their user and then send them back to the login page. So I hope that makes sense. I know it's a little crazy if you have to rewatch part of it to try to understand it. Probably the hardest thing to understand is this expired time, and maybe what I'll do here just really quick is let's go ahead and look at, we'll do a dump and die, and we'll do a string to time, and let's just put now in there. And what this is going to do is show us what this time is, but instead of it being in this MySql format with the year, month, date, hour, minute, seconds, it's actually going to be in seconds. So it's going to be just a number. So let's go ahead and look at that real quick. So if I go back here to login, we're going to go to reset password, put in my email address, and then when we come here, what we can do, I'm just gonna enter some stuff here. Well, you know what, let's just check it. 150509. And you can see that what is dumped here is just a string. So that's why we can use a less than to see if it's expired, to see if it's less than the time that it's supposed to expire in 10 minutes. Okay, so that is why that works. But string to time gives us, I think it's like some sort of seconds since the year 1973 or something like that. Since like January 1st at midnight at 1973, it's how many seconds have gone by since then until this time that you put in, is what string to time I think is doing. All right, so I will see you guys in the next video where we will finish up the reset password functionality. I will see you guys there. Peace out.